Welcome everyone to Does It Resonate With You? I'm taking over today, or not really, but I just want to welcome you to the show. We have Katie with us today. We're going to talk about Lenormand, which is another divination tool. So I've got my little Lenormand book here in my deck, and Katie's got hers, and Angie has hers. So on three, 1, 2, 3, here we go. All right. Okay, so I think the best thing to start with is, because all three of us are familiar with tarot at different levels. I think the most interesting question is, what's the difference between something like Lenormand and tarot? So here's what I know, right? When you do a tarot reading, the questions are often, what do I need to know about such and such? And you get a reading and you get, kind of a general answer to your question, or you get some directions to go with it. Each card has multiple meanings. It has multiple, depending on the spread, where it lies in the spread, and you kind of answer these big life questions. And what I know about Lenormand, it's like, should I get the fish tonight or the chicken? And it's a lot more of a narrowed down, very specific question you can ask from Lenormand. Am I right about that, Katie?
Yeah, that's kind of similar to how I read them. If I get, like number 21, that's the mountain here, based on what I'm saying, I'm gonna say, well, you've got a high mountain to climb, or you're gonna be high on the mountain, if you're gonna hit the peak. So it still has it's a little more direct than
more direct
regular tarot, because if I look at this one, the Seven of Swords, it's very interpretive. So there's more. So I would totally agree with you on that. From my novice information, I'm by no means an expert, but
nor I
love the cards, have really come to enjoy them and play with them a lot.
Yeah. What I like a lot about Lenormand is that you get like card duets, where these two cards together mean a bad stomach ache, but you put them the other way and it's like going out to eat or something like that. The two cards together have a very specific meaning, and if one's before the other or one is after the other, it totally changes that couplet.
Right. And how they each, I was taught to do a spread where you use all cards, and then you start at either the man or the woman, whoever you are, and then you start moving from there into what placement, because every card has a number. And that's how I was taught to do readings with them. And it always amazed me at how detail oriented it became. And you're right. If one card was swapped to another position, it would completely change, if you're going to go for dinner or have a stomach ache,
Or maybe a little of both. Hey, describe again what you just said when you start with the man or the woman, and then what? Talk about that.
So how I was taught by a friend of mine is that you shuffle and you lay out all of the cards. And I did rows of 6. So it was 4 rows of 6 with 2 extra, I think. And basically, when you lay them out, so you find where the man or the woman is. So that means, so whatever your question is, you go to there. Then say if the man or the woman is in place number 4, then you say, okay, what card belongs in number 4? So you look for the number on the top of the card that says, well, this says 10. So we'll use 10 as an example instead. Then you go to 10, and that's how you do your reading, is you go all the way back until you get to the man or the woman again. And I've done readings where I get back in 6 moves, there's only 6 cards in that cycle, or I'll go through all of them. Wow. And so it really just tells that story as I'm going through, and I don't know what, I didn't know the sickle was 10, or, the birdhouse is 12, but I just have to keep looking and go, okay, then this, then this, then this. So it's kind of like connect the cards,
it's like a connect the dots.
Yeah.
And it builds a sentence, basically.
Yeah, it does. So that's how I was taught to do it. I know there's many ways you can read 4 corners. You can read the internal 4. I just had to keep it simple with just doing the.
So you're reading by the number on the card and then the position in the layout. Is that
right? Yeah. So for example, here, let me just put a few out here just so I have an example. So I always flip them up. So if I have 6 up there, and then if I do another, I'm trying to find a man or a woman. Let me just find her and shove her in here.
One other thing I noticed is that you need a really big table.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, like, say I found the woman here. So, this one would be the woman, and this was in place number 12. So, it's the 12th card. Okay. So, then I go from here is the woman, and then I say, okay, so the woman is here, and then I look for card number 12, and this is a lot easier if I had number 12 in here. Here's number 12. Okay. So then I go to card number 12, whatever position this is. So this is the birdhouse. So I'll say, okay, so if I'm doing this for you, Angie, since I'll have the woman here. So then I would say, okay, with the placement of this card, so this would be meaning that I would go to the bird cage and say, I'm feeling like you're getting ready to spread your wings. You need to shift. You need to move out of your house or move the energy around in your house. And then I go where this was positioned. So if this was in the 4th spot, then I would go, okay, where is the 4th card at? And I go, oh, that's the house. So this is identifying that, yes, you need to make shifts in your house. And say, for instance, if this was in the 5th spot, then I would find the 5th card and go, oh, so you can see you'll get a lot of rainbows and you're going to get a lot of movement and you're going to have more that tree of life energy, putting down roots to really expand out. So I go forward and do that until I get back to the card to the man or the woman card that I started with. I don't know. I'm sure there's a million other ways to read it, but that's what's always been cool for me.
That's really cool. So I'm only halfway through when I bought a Lenormand book. Of course I did, right, Angie?
Of course you did. But I noticed something about your deck compared to the deck I have, and my deck has actual playing cards on it.
Yeah, mine does too.
Oh, it does. Oh, down in the bottom.
Yeah, they're down in the bottom.
Spot. So this happens to be a royal flush. Just because I had to do that. So
that's funny, Angie.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what that reminds me of Stephen Wright. He says, one night I stayed up all night playing poker with tarot cards. Got a royal flush and 3 people died.
I really like. Now I'm going to have to really dedicate myself. Oh, like I don't have already enough to do. I'm going to really have to give this a try because this is fascinating. Like,
oh, it is.
Because everything I do when I work, I see things in shapes and I see things in directions, and this goes with this and that goes with that and that goes with this. So this actually, to me, seems like right up my alley.
Yeah, like, you're gonna gravitate towards this.
Yeah, because I've taught people regular tarot before, and that was the first modality I picked up was the tarot, and it's harder because it takes more intuitiveness and really seeing, like this card can be seen a million different ways just based on who's reading it. Because I don't read like the hard and fast, like, oh, it has to mean this or it has to mean that, the way a lot of people do. But with the Lenormand, when I've shown it before to people, and I've had people that aren't or they say they're not intuitive, just friends were just playing around with decks of cards, and they'll actually be able to tell a story. It's really interesting how they can do it. So I think for people who are looking into it, get the Lenormand deck. It's very cool and very.
I've heard that it's becoming more and more popular now that tarot is kind of like becoming more popular, and people are hearing about it, and then really finding the fun of doing a Lenormand reading.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of the pictures are so vivid, they're so, I've got a very bright deck, as you guys can see.
What's the name of your deck?
Mine is the Gilded Reverie.
Ooh, the Gilded Reverie.
Yeah. Ooh, with the dog on the front.
Yeah, with the dog.
So Angie and I both have the Thelema or Thelema. Yeah, Thelema Normand.
Okay.
But the pictures, I can see where you would, and some of them could be, open to interpretation by individuals as well, right? Like I could see this in one way and someone else could see this in an entirely different way. To me, this would be about reverence, and and other people might see religion, or
Yeah.
some people might see the shape,
But you're a
Yeah.
little more constrained, I think,
directions.
than you are with tarot.
Yeah, because I see that card, Angie, and I see faith. Like when I see the cross, it's all about, okay, do you have faith in what you're doing? Do you have, kind of
Right,
that, which is
right.
all similar in religion and, all of it kind of still fits in the same bucket.
I mean, I really think it makes sense that the the cards on their own don't tell much of a story. I mean, they are a piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
Like they,
Yep. You
you
actually
have
have to
to.
have a spread to actually get a reading. You can't really do a one card Lenormand reading, at least not very well. This doesn't.
Yeah, I haven't been able to figure out how to do one. I mean, you can pull one, and I can go, oh, this is the coffin card. So, okay, it's transformation, death, and rebirth. But it's like, I don't know, what is the death and rebirth of, or
Right.
what's the
Right.
death of?
Right.
So
Yeah, the only way I could see that is maybe, like a yes or a no. I mean, there are some in here that seem like yeses and nos. Like, to
Yeah.
me, that looks like a no.
actually, in
Right?
the book,
This
Angie,
looks like a yes.
in the book, it says it tells you what each card is if you're looking for a yes or no answer.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you get yes, no, neutral.
That I mean, I can see that in these cards.
Yep.
I can definitely see that. Like to me, this would be neutral.
Which one is that? 21?
21.
Well, let's find out. 21 mountain. Oh, that's a negative.
Huh. Interesting.
So
Is
I
it-
want to go back to
See,
the
now
point.
like this to me would be an O, right?
Which
Oh,
number?
the mice.
Sorry, Katie, with the mice.
Yeah.
That's 23.
Let's see. Yep, that's a no.
I mean, I would have to think so.
Right.
And
Nope,
I
no,
actually
thank you.
have a good friend who actually reads a playing card deck. So
I
I
like
wonder,
that.
I haven't looked in this book to see how they relate with each
Yeah.
other.
I
If
went
you-
I went to someone who did a playing card deck. It's really interesting how they pull and how it talks to them.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. From
and
what I
this guy is a mind reader, but so he's a show person, but he's also a psychic. Like he's
Mhm.
legit, right? Like there's no way some of the things he does he could do if he wasn't legitimately psychic. Like,
Yep.
some of them aren't, they do party tricks, but he definitely is. And so to watch him read and to watch people light up, like I've watched him read with just playing cards, and to watch him start to tell the story and people just like light up. And it's not those things like you see in the TV. Oh, you want children? Oh, and then, oh no, you don't want children. Oh, you can't have children. It's not that kind of thing. So he pulls things out of like nowhere. So yeah, so it's interesting.
the book I
Although
have
there
talks
must
about,
be some that are missing, because what is this, 30? How many are in this deck?
I think it's
30.
36.
36.
Yeah,
Yeah.
36.
So you're missing what, 10, 16 cards? So I don't, probably the low numbers, right? Like the
That's a good
aces,
question. That is a really
or the
good
2,
question.
3, 4 or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the book
But-
that I have, it was talking about how once you've learned the Lenormand deck, Lenormand readings with our Lenormand deck, then if you memorize the cards, the playing card equivalents, you can you can just take a deck of playing cards and do a Lenormand reading with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah,
how do they connect the card? So are they the same? I'm assuming they're the same playing card for each. Like I've got the 4 in front of me, which is the King of Hearts.
All right, let me make sure. So over here, the 4 is King of Hearts. Yes.
okay.
Yep.
So they must be the same. I wonder what the meaning is behind that playing card with that particular card.
Good question. But at that point, it's just strict memorization. So you can leave the Lenormand deck at home and do it in the middle of the poker game, right?
Okay, so the King of Hearts in cartomancy, it represents a kind and fair-hearted man. kind-hearted and fair man. His gentle temperament makes him a fine friend and an excellent life partner. So I don't know what the card that I don't have that one in front of me, so
It's
I don't
the
know what.
house.
Right. Traditional meaning, big-hearted nature, being generous,
Okay.
family, possessions, comfort.
Which kind of means the house. I mean, yeah, that
Yeah, kind-hearted and
fits.
fair.
Yeah, yeah.
So I already struggled trying to remember all the meanings of traditional tarot, which is why I stick with oracle cards.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't look for myself to. I like this because I can just play the game,
Yeah.
right? And
Exactly.
But
I
also,
can see the pictures and I can play the game. Like
yeah.
I like that.
But with traditional tarot, though, Angie, you don't have to know the traditional.
Oh, I know that.
'Cause
I read tarot cards all the time. I don't, but it was always something that I thought I wanted to do,
Oh, yeah.
because the framework of tarot and the story that it tells fascinates me, like the Fool's Journey or
Yeah.
the Dreamer's Journey if you're with Radley Valentine. But the idea of trying to memorize it just
Yeah.
doesn't, I know
Yeah, and of
lots
course,
of
I went
chat
the other
girls. I
direction.
can't afford to kick them out just yet.
I bought a,
You
I have a little app on my phone that's like for flashcards. So it's for learning. My kid uses it for his multiplication tables, but you can drop in any thing to learn. And I found, oh, there's a tarot deck flashcard thing. And so I'm learning it that way.
So you're learning it then based on the traditional meaning of that card, or
Right. I want to have the traditional meaning as my basis when I'm doing a reading. I already do readings, of course, but having that real traditional meaning kind of in the back of my mind can help broaden the depth of my readings.
okay, yeah, that makes sense that you have that. Yeah,
Cool.
there's
Hey,
so much you can do with cards. It's incredible how people read them and look at them and use them, and
I know, right?
Yeah, the woman who taught me tarot, she would read blank cards. And we're like,
I love it.
you don't need the card. She's like, but this is how they know when I'm working in that. She goes, otherwise I'm not bugged by, energies or getting messages. She's like, it's all so yeah.
I like that.
That's boundaries, right? Like
Yeah.
I love that.
Cool.
I love that a lot. I mean, for
That's
the
my
most
favorite.
part,
That's my new favorite. That's really cool. Sorry.
when I read cards, I don't have anything against the book. And if I feel called to read the book, I will read the book. Okay. So I don't want anybody listening to think I am supporting the idea, oh, you shouldn't touch the book. Like if the book wasn't valuable, they wouldn't put it in the box with the deck. Okay.
Right.
So with that said, I don't do the book most of the time because I can see the card without my glasses, but not the book. That is part of it. And then the other part of it is I see the card and I see where it goes, how it fits into whatever spread that I've done, which reminds me of a question about Lenormand. And I just use it as a spark. Like, oh, look at, and it may not be the whole picture. It may not be the message on the card. It might just be, oh, look at this. We have a reading here, 3 cards. All 3 have gold coins in them. We are talking about whether or not abundance is going to come your way. You know what I mean? Like it could be anything like that.
Right.
So now back to my question. So if you're reading Lenormand and you're reading, you're laying out the whole deck to tell that story, it's not a spread, I'm guessing then, right? Like, because you're just laying them out.
I mean, I use every card in the deck, but I'm sure there is a spread you can do. Yeah.
So then you're just focusing on whatever the question might be while you're shuffling and dealing then, right? Like,
yeah. Always ask
more or less, whatever.
Yeah, I ask who's ever in front, okay, what's your question or topic? I'm even okay with the topic, but I probably tap in psychically as well as I'm doing it. So I'm getting a little more. And then I shuffle them and just lay them out and then just start telling the story.
Yeah.
At least the way I do it. And, I was shown how to read the 4 corners and how when you lay them all out, where the man or the woman is. There's something about the 6 cards around them.
Yep.
I haven't grasped that concept yet, or that way of doing it. So yeah, so that's just how I tap in.
So there's more than one possibility. There's,
Oh, for
I mean,
sure.
you read it however you read it, which
Yeah.
I love, and I love the idea of playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much a set of rules that are easy to follow.
The woman who taught me she goes, I lay out the entire deck. She goes, and I can do a reading for an hour without touching any of the cards. As they're asking me questions, I go to one, about love. I go to a certain card and it's all about that. If it's about career, I find the career card and then I read around that card. So it kind of, yeah, it was interesting how, because with tarot, I'm always dealing out more, reshuffling, but with this, like, just put it all out there and you just read based on how they fell the first
So you're
time.
connecting to the energy of the person.
Yeah.
As you're laying out the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cards are laid out in a way that tells you a story about the person.
Right.
I think that is fascinating.
I do too.
And something that I would very much like to play with. I mean,
well, I can give you guys the name of the person who helped me with it. So you guys are welcome to talk to her as well. So, because I am just a novice, but I've come to really love Lenormand. So
I can see where you would.
Can I recommend the book that I'm learning from?
Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick.
Okay.
John, you just need to read it and tell me about it later.
I know. Angie and I have this thing where I read books and then I tell Angie, and then she doesn't need to read it.
That sounds great to me. I have a stack of books that I know. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get through all these, but there they sit.
It's really funny. Just while John is looking, I did a reading. I recently completed Bradley Valentine's Angel Numerology course, and we did circles. We did reading swaps. Because it was a certification course, so we did reading swaps, and I was doing a reading for this gal, and for me, readings are whatever they are. I'm going to hear what I'm going to hear. The numbers are a jumping off point, right? But I really love his format, the way that he sorted out the way the numbers work. But it's so funny that you mentioned this with the books, because this lady I keep running across teachers hiding in the realm of the student, right? Like everywhere I go, that's what I'm finding. So I'm taking that as a sign that I need to figure out a way to work with these people. But I'm sitting there and I'm pulling a card for her and doing whatever. And then all of a sudden I see, and I'm like, I don't know why, but I just saw a giant stack of books fall over because they were kicked. And she said, oh my God, I have a giant stack of books next to my bed. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're telling you don't need all those books. Because I hear that a lot. Well, as soon as I finish this, just one more course, one more book, one more class. I love the idea of having a stack of books next to your bed, because the energy of the books, they've got a vibration. Just learn from them that way.
Exactly.
And then read the fluffy, fun fiction. That's what I like to read. I like fluffy fiction. Like I read for fun. Like that's.
I found my book.
Oh, okay. What is it?
So I got the Complete Lenormand Oracle Handbook, and it is by Caitlin Matthews. And I bought it because it had like 5.5-star ratings and 635 people rating it, and it was just recommended a number of places. So it's thick. It's got lots of examples in there, and it's really good.
Very cool.
Go find me a YouTube video. There's a lot of YouTube videos.
That's why we get along so well, Angie.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that's funny.
Yeah. There's so many cool tools out there and ways to tap into your abilities. I think Lenormand's a really interesting one that I've learned later on since I started my work. But yeah, it's fun.
I'm really excited to I'm going to figure out a way to snatch up a few people and give this a try, see how it goes. I love practicing things like this. I mean, it's when you've been around a while, when you've been doing this work for a while. And somebody was just talking yesterday about, wishing that everything she was going to be able to do would hurry up and she would be able to do it all. And I'm like, you lose out on the joy of discovery that way, And so now I've been around this a while. You've been around this a while. It's rare that you get something that's really new and exciting to be able to try out,
Yeah.
So I am thrilled at the idea of, checking this out and giving it a try. I mean, it's fun. Like if you think back to beginner's mind or when you first started out, you were like, oh, wow, look at this. I can do this now. And, oh, look, I can do this now. And it doesn't just happen so often anymore. So the idea of something, kind of brand new and a new way to learn to translate the energy, because, that's what we're doing, right? I think is cool and fascinating. And it's another way to be able to relate to a client, right?
Yeah.
Like not everybody wants a tarot reading.
Right.
For whatever reason. They're afraid of the death card, which give it to me. Afraid of the tower card. Hand it over. I want it. Like change and heads up. And I want all that stuff, right? Like, but something like this, it seems like it would be a little more gentle because you could have a more gentle intention.
Absolutely. I would totally agree with that.
And your client can see what you're seeing or what card pops up. I mean, you guys have probably had this too, and I do tarot readings. Someone will be like, well, what does this card mean? And they'll just grab a random card that's in a placement that meant nothing for their reading. And I'm like, and I'm like saying, well, this is what I get from it, but it really doesn't matter right now. Where these is like people know, oh, this is what this is.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point. Yep.
And these are, I mean, from what I see, okay, for this, like this, for example, where I saw this as neutral and then you saw it, you said it was a negative in the book. But to me, this is neutral because it's not really that high. It's not, for me, that's what it means. It's not really that high. Like you're partway there, you only have a little ways to go. It's not really that high. Right. So there's still room for interpretation, but it would, if I said to you, you still have a little ways to go when I handed you this, maybe you don't get it, but I say, but look, you're most of the way, and then you just have a little further to go.
Right.
Which is not really what I get from the card, but I'm just trying to make a point that would be easy for someone to understand and relate to. So it's not just 100% woo-woo, shall we say?
Yeah.
Like you're not.
There's a little bit more
visceral, right? Like it's
more tangible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like this, hurry up. Whatever it is, you need to hurry up, light a fire under yourself, right? Like, I mean, and that would be easy for somebody to, I would think it would be easy for somebody to.
Yeah.
All right. So just pulling this out here. The whip, which you just pulled out, is purge what no longer serves you, exercise, arguments, sports, anger, intense, troublemaker. Yeah.
And that's if you read from the book, which I will never do. Right? Is yours wrong? No. Is mine wrong? No. Right? Like,
it's your interpretation.
It's your interpretation.
Yep.
But these cards, now I dealt these cards. This is how they're going to speak to me, how I interpret the energy. And I'm going to be able to explain that. And the person I'm working with is going to be able to understand it because I'm going to say, look, this is, like trying to give you a shot in the butt. Hurry up. What are, what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. It's I'm doing the reading. So this is what it means. This is how I translate it. And that's what works for the person.
You're getting a message from spirit based on how it's going to come through for you.
Yeah. And that card, I think, is specific enough that no one's going to sit there and go, oh my gosh, it's everything good is going to come to me. It's they're going to be like, oh, I maybe need some I need to put in some extra work. I need to get moving.
Exactly. So, and then of course, it's going to be in conjunction with other cards.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you'll find out what you need a little bit of a, push in to get moving. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. And then it's one of my favorite numbers on top of it, 11. 10 and 11 are my favorite numbers.
Oh.
So, well, they just are because they're the best. But
so
anyway,
then you need to find out what that card says to you. What do you need a kick in the button?
Right? Oh, I know. I already know. I already have the answer to that. I already know that.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah,
still
we should
November.
talk about that at length.
I still have. Today's the 28th. 20. Oh, right. Well, it won't. We won't be brought. We won't. By the time you hear this, it'll be December. Okay. So I'm still on my month off, my hibernation month.
Oh, okay. Okay.
December is when I have to get everything ready for January.
Okay.
That's already an agreement. And it's really actually for a lot of people. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've told that in readings.
Mm-hmm.
Take it easy.
I think.
Oh, I see.
Easy.
Right.
Oh.
Chill out right now because you're going to hit the ground running in January.
Yeah, because 2024 is going to be something, I think. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I really don't.
So
I mean that in a good way. I think that 2024 is going to be for those of us that choose it and those of us that choose not to walk in that fear. 2024 is going to be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
That's all the information I'm getting anyway.
Yeah. I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and it was an astrological one, and they were saying the energies in 2024 are going to be very powerful. And so, yeah, he was saying the same thing. Just sit down now, just let it, integrate everything you've learned and as far as we've come, because we're going to be running come 2024, which I'm excited for. I'm ready for.
Me too, right?
Yeah.
Me too. I have it figured out. I know what it looks like, and I've actually dialed back my idea of what it should look like because part of 2023 was used for me to figure out that what I do and what I put out there in the world does not need to look like the people that taught me, what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't need to mirror those people. They are wonderful. They're amazing at what they do. And there are people that resonate with them. And that's fantastic. But that's not what I need to do. I know now what I need to do, and I know what I want. And I'm going to be honest, I just don't really want to work that hard anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. I want to help people, but I want to I am figuring out the ways to do it in a broader way. And, for more people at one time. I think we've talked about this, Katie, group things. And, more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And so, it's a method, it's a pattern, it's a rinse and repeat. It's a theme. It's beautiful the way that it was laid out for me. And it starts in January. So I'm almost done with my sabbatical, and then I start laying everything out and figuring out what that actually looks like and who does what, and then involves some collaborations, and it's going to be amazing. And it's going to be easy because I am not that I want to make 6 figures person. I'm just not that. I'm not there. I want the universe to bring me the abundance that I need for what it is that I want, and that's where I'm at. I'm tired of this, the 6-figure launch and the 7-figure this and the, and if that's what you need, because that's what you need in your life, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Right.
Can I speak to something on that? I saw something posted today, and it really, really struck me. Yes. So here's what it is. So this is a quote from Kurt Vonnegut. He says, "When I was 15, I spent a month working in an archaeological dig. I was talking to one of the archaeologists. Small talk. He was trying to get to know me. Do you play sports? What's your favorite subject?" And I told him, "No, I do theater. I'm in choir. I play violin and piano when I take art classes." And he went, "Wow, that's amazing." And I said, No. I'm not any good at any of them." And then he said something that I will never forget, which absolutely blew my mind because no one had ever said it like this to me before. He said, "I don't think being good at things is the point of doing them. I think you've got all these wonderful experiences and different skills, and all that teaches you things and makes you an interesting person no matter how well you do them." And that honestly changed my life. And I read that. I'm like, whoa, that is a message that so needs to get out there.
Yeah.
You do things for joy. You do things because they resonate with you, right? There's our show title, not because you have to get good at them and make six figures.
Right.
But what's really interesting about that is that if you do it for the joy, you can't help but excel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the one question I always ask my clients that come to me for coaching. The first question is, what brings you joy? What gives you passion? And I am shocked at how many people go,
I don't know.
I am not sure. Well, I like what I do, or I like this. I'm like, well, what's the, that is the biggest stumper question that usually they, leave that week. And I'm like, you need to think about it. You need to write it down, and like, just write anything down, and we'll, search through it next week, but you've got to give it some thought.
Yep. It could be crocheting. It could be gardening. It could be making juice.
Yeah.
But
could be anything.
Anything.
But I think that we've sensationalized the idea of what brings joy, in this country to some degree. Joy is, sometimes a commercial. I don't watch many commercials. Some of the commercials are really, really good, and they make me feel joy.
I like that.
Today I was working with I have a long-term regular client amongst others, but this one is really long-term, who has found her flow and has been kind of in the flow for a while now. And she's got a shift coming, and I can feel the shift. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I haven't had tingles and I haven't felt this in a long time. That's joy, because watching her light up when I say, this is what's coming, or this is the direction, or this is, what they're saying you need, or whatever it might be, that brings me joy. So it could be any,
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Right. And you're right. People, we've sensationalized it. It has to look like this. It has to be like this. It has to, it's like, it doesn't.
Right.
It could be looking out your window and seeing the sun. That could give you joy. It could be, taking someone a meal that you cooked, or help you supporting someone on, doing something. It doesn't.
Or a favorite show.
Yeah.
Right. Or watch a kid with a refrigerator box.
Oh yeah.
Right. Watch a kid with a refrigerator box, or watch a dog with a balloon, because I think that dogs feel joy, actually. I just believe they do. And they bring joy, right? Like, they totally bring joy, like that goofy stuff. So it is really sad, and perhaps it is something that should be looked at by people who are putting content out into the world.
Right. To push people to, you have to succeed. You have to excel. No, you don't.
No, I'm talking about, it should be the people who are putting content out in the world should be encouraged to tell people, find joy.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And not just lip service, but for real.
Well, but that's it. It's not hard. It's not big. When people say, oh, what do you want to be? You want to be happy. I want to be happy. Happiness is a choice. You can think about cute puppies and you're happy, right? Like, happiness is a choice.
Right.
Joy is a state of being in my mind, and it is brought on by things that are around you, but it's a vibrational state that is brought on by something that you see that you want to match.
Yeah.
So, we're all, the burnout out there is palpable. And people are suffering from it, and they didn't even know, which is why I wound up taking November off, except for certain very few things. Because I didn't know until I had a temper tantrum in a meeting with people I really respect and love, that I had too much on my plate. Like, whoa, where'd that come from? You know what I mean? So
and I think when we do the work that we all do, I notice that, I'll have friends or, business people that I work with, and all of a sudden they'll just kind of start to disappear. and I know they're doing their own work. I won't hear from them that much. I won't, and I do this too. It's like I kind of just go off and I'm doing my own internal work, but when I come back, I'm so much better than what I was. You know, and it's like I'm like we the same way if we work out every day and go to the gym, you take a few days off, you come back bigger and better than what you were before. It's the same thing with the work. So I always tell people, like, take a break. You know, take it, even if you can only take an hour or 5 minutes, take that moment just to, and then, you know, and then
hereby give you permission to rest.
Yes. And then it might be 10 minutes the next day, and then it might end up being a full day or a week, or, you know.
It's really interesting, John, that you said permission, because that there was, I did a reading for someone, and I literally heard them say, tell her you give her permission to take November off. This was either late October or very beginning of the month. Yeah. And she said, oh my God, I can't tell you how many people have told me that's what I needed to do, but you're the first one that gave me permission.
Wow.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and because for me, I'm like, to me, that's like that's like one of these for me. It's like, I don't need anybody giving me permission, but you don't realize how many people are out there that feel that way.
Yep. They're waiting for someone
she was like, that was the lady that needed her books kicked over too, if I remember correctly. But I mean, it was just so certain. You need, they just kept saying, tell her permission, you know, and I was like, okay.
That's good. That's really good. I don't remember that.
I mean, it's, you know, that is a social media post, right? I give you permission to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Me, I would look at that and go, I don't need you to tell me what I can do. But there are other people that would,
absolutely,
that would say. So there may be a way to, you know, put that out there for all different kind of people.
Right, for the people that need to hear it, for sure.
Right, and in what way? But the idea, when they say, you know, what brings you joy, and they say, I don't really know, and you can see they're searching, you can feel it, you know. They're going here and going there, and they don't really know. And because, does anybody teach us what joy really is?
We do. That's our job.
Right? But I mean, you know, because kids experience joy every day.
True.
All the time, right? And do we homework it out of them? Do we, you know what I mean? Like, wow.
We're taught that we can't have joy. It's like we're taught you can never receive. You have to give.
That is true.
You can have joy after your homework's done, right?
Yeah.
Right? You have to do this, and then you can rest.
Right.
That was drilled into me. And it took a long time to realize that, hey, guess what? Today I'm just going to rest.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. I love how these conversations go off on little tangents that are, I think, really, really important and helpful to the world.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe that, you know, we've gotten to the end of our time again already.
It always goes so fast.
It does.
Yeah. It does. So Katie,
my takeaway value is I'm going to finish my book and start doing Lenormand readings.
Yeah. I am. I'm gonna. I'm gonna. What do you call it? I'm gonna rook a few people in to, you know. Hey, you want to have a Lenormand reading?
That's a great idea.
I'm just trying it out, so I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we'll give that a shot and start putting that out there. Promise us you will come back.
Oh, I would love to. It was always so much fun with you guys.
Yes,
I love this. Just bringing up Lenormand and talking with you, Katie, was so much fun. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, and I learned a little bit. So make sure you finish that book so you can.
Okay. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah. Right. Oh my goodness. Yes. So Katie, your channel is the Channeled Source, right?
Correct. Yes.
So go and listen to Katie while she channels the Druids. They've got a lot of wonderful things to say. That was one of the when I was first going to be introduced to you, I went and listened, and I was like, oh, they're saying things that I can agree with. That's good. No,
that resonates with me.
No, that resonates with me. Okay, because well, because there's a lot of channelers out there that are channeling an awful lot of fear conscious
Right. Yeah.
nonsense that I
Mhm.
just don't have the patience for.
Right.
Which doesn't make them right or wrong or whatever. It's just not
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Right. So when I heard, and I don't remember exactly which one it was, but when I heard what they were saying, it's not all gloom and doom, and it's not, and then there's that connection I have to the Druids anyway.
Yeah.
So, which is also fascinating and gonna play into what happens for me next year.
Mhm.
Anyway, so if you've enjoyed it, if you're with us this long to the end of the show, please reach down and hit subscribe. Then pop over to the channeled source and subscribe to Katie's channel while you're at it.
Yes.
And thank you very much for listening. And we will see you for tarot time in a few minutes, or whatever. I guess it's YouTube time, so it's not really in a few minutes. So we will see you for tarot time though this week as well. So thank you so much, Katie. It was wonderful to be here with you.
Thank you.
John,
Mhm.
see you later.